There's a big bag of rats fight over Trump's support for Israel. So the Harris campaign is not the only campaign which may lose votes to one-issue voters on this Israeli war issue. The headline is in The Guardian: far-right breaks with Trump on Israel as it ramps up anti-Semitic attacks. This is from the lovely Telegram channel. Somebody, they tweeted a picture of Trump wearing the traditional Jewish kippah. Right, and they wrote, entire campaign has been nothing but sucking Jewish...
Oh, wow.
And losing white people. Pray to your satanic, F word for gay man, wow. Rabbi bitch. Wow. Okay, because he was praying at a Hebrew grave. Politics are getting a little scrambled. You tweeted about former KKK leader David Duke endorsing Jill Stein, and you said, good, let her take the Nazi vote from Trump. I mean... Wow.
Listen, excuse me, I have learned a lot, even as a Jewish person, about the the Middle East conflict over the last month, more than I ever have. But it's hard for me to understand why people would vote for a man whose followers are holding swastikas on flags and wanting to eradicate Jews in this country, too. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
I do not like what's happening over there. Let me be very clear. I don't like the byproduct of war in any way. But it's when I see a swastika, and obviously it's generational, it hurts my chest. It hurts my chest. I don't understand how anyone could support him.
And then he's routinely, bashing Jewish people that don't vote for him, saying they need their heads examined. And you're like, yeah, you're the side with the Nazi flags.
Yeah.
Right? I mean... Good God, what a mess. Anyway, you've been talking, Dana, we started talking about this, this downward spiral we're watching, and Vance. You retweeted Andrea Juncker, who said, it's becoming clearer by the hour presidential candidate Trump is President Vance's Trojan horse. This openly planned coup should scare the hell out of all of us. And you just said all of this.
They will weekend at Bernie his ass if he starts to go down before this election. I guarantee it. They will do everything they can to keep him alive, and because he is their best bet to the White House. It's Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, and when he gets in there, they will throw him to the pasture. They will bury him alive. They will take whatever they need. They'll offer to pardon him, which is what I'm sure this whole deal is. I know it's all conspiracy, but I guarantee most of our listeners agree with us.
Yeah, you said that. You said we have to keep Trump out of the White House. That's the only thing that matters. He will hand our country over to Vance and his puppet master, Peter Thiel and Elon. Trump doesn't want to be president. He just doesn't want to go to prison. And his sycophants will see to that. And, that's what you start to think, this is the plan. This 39-year-old, completely inexperienced senator that was only installed with Peter Thiel money, who wrote Project 2025. That's the real plan. They're watching the same thing we're watching, this demented old man.
And I don't want to jump to 4 years ahead. Let's get Kamala and Tim Walz elected in November, but do not take your foot off the gas. I guarantee, and everyone knows this, JD Vance will run against her in 4 years. This is the plan, whether they do it now or do it then. So let's just get her in there and make sure that we can fix as much as possible and get her reelected in 4 years.
Yeah. Also, we've been talking about the Fox interview all morning, and you said, MAGA, Kamala's afraid to go on Fox News. Kamala agrees to Fox News. MAGA, she probably already has the questions, and Brett is in her pocket. They're going to edit it to make her look better. Fox News sucks. They are blindly loyal to their cult leader. Yeah. And, we were saying, Bret Baier obviously had his marching order. First of all, it was all Trump talking points, and he just kept interrupting her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, Steffi, speaking of interrupting. The moment where he asked her about, whether she thought he was was going to take retribution on his enemies, and she called him out and playing that clip. There's 400 other clips. He played a clip from Fox News in a Fox-friendly audience with a Fox-friendly answer, and I'm glad she called him out. That showed her strength, and it showed that she is not going to put up with this BS when it is put right in her face, no matter who's sitting across from her, even if it's a Trump sycophant, on Fox News. So I thought that moment was pretty brilliant. I'm disappointed in Brett. I thought he had more scruples than he does, and I thought he was a better journalist. And I know that some people were like, "You did?" I actually did. I thought there was an ounce left in him. Yeah, I really did.
Yeah.
Well, that's why Trump works the refs, right? It's Brit Baer's soft. It's going to be terrible, And when Trump says how great the interview was, it's because
that makes Bret Baier defensive when Trump says that, and so Bret Baier is going to go after him harder than he would go after Harris harder than he would go after anyone.
I mean, that's the point of any Fox interview with a Democrat is just to beat up the Democrats so that the Fox News audience goes, "Yay!" I mean, it's anyway. But she was great. I mean, I never didn't have confidence in her. It's just it's a Bret Baier trap, isn't it, Chris?
It's a Bret Baier trap.
Well, I saw that headline. I think it was Politico that said that Kamala Harris went bear hunting.
Hey, all right, bear. No, okay. Now a story about a bear. Meanwhile, so you were talking about the compare and contrast. These are all like Trump voters, basically on Fox. I mean, he's just such a giant, See, but he still managed to get in. I love how Kamala Harris always says this. His campaign is all about, who can you beat down, including trans people, and hers is who can we lift up. And so here he is answering the trans question.
How do you plan on addressing the transgender issue in women's sports? I have 9 grandchildren, 6 of them female, all playing sports, and we are very concerned for their safety, not just on the field and the courts, but in their locker rooms as well.
Right. It's such an easy question, and everybody in the room, and you know that answer, we're not going to let it happen.
Mm-hmm. Dana, what is the incident of a trans person doing anything to anyone in a locker room?
0. There's more incidents of Republicans doing things to people in bathrooms and locker rooms and public spaces. And it's been documented.
And point of order, I'm not sure the president can unilaterally do anything about this issue.
Yeah.
He can't.
Right.
Okay.
Women playing men, but you don't have to do the volleyball. We stop it. We absolutely stop it. You can't have it. It's a man playing in the game. I mean, physically, from a muscular standpoint, even if it was a little bit less, maybe they do all sorts of tests and drugs and everything else. Look at what's happened in swimming. Look at the records that are being broken.
So how do you stop it? Do you go to the sports leagues? Do you go to the Olympic
You just
councils?
ban it. The president bans it. You just don't let it happen.
You can't.
Oh, okay. Then if that's the case, let's ban guns. If the president bans it and it happens, you know what, Joe Biden? You know what, Kamala Harris? Let's just ban guns.
They're just playing to hate.
Not all guns, but maybe AR-15s. How about that? How about we start there?
By the way, is a Spirit Day today, and it's just like what kind of unbelievably small percentage of people are we even talking about here? What do you hope to accomplish? That a couple of them killed themselves today because they heard that? I mean, it's just, it really is so, it's just the epitome of bullying.
Mm-hmm. This makes my blood boil. I try not to get upset about it in the sense of like losing my composure, but this is such a BS thing that they found through the years. They tried it years ago and it didn't catch. And they did it with marriage equality and they did it with the bathrooms and they tried it years ago and it didn't catch. And then they revamped it and all of a sudden it started to catch. So they're like, oh, let's stay. If you would have paid attention 2 weeks ago, trans women in sports were not even talked about because they were focusing on immigrants. Right. They poll their people to decide who they hate most that week and then they start to make ads about it. It's horrifying. It's embarrassing. And I really hope that we can actually stop this. The route has gone so far down, unfortunately, and I know you've got to.
No,
I
found
finger goes up. I know to stop. When I see a lesbian
no, I'm sorry.
I stop and I listen.
Wow. Okay. Okay, I was going to make an inappropriate joke, but it's not.
Oh boy.
I'm not going to do anything with my finger to Dana. Listen, my point is that I found the Martin Luther King quote. I will not finger her in a crime or any other.
Stephanie!
I support her.
We're lucky she plays for you.
Dana.
HR, where is HR?
Yeah, she's right here.
She's right there, the one pointing at you.
Okay,
I know.
I've been looking for this Martin Luther King quote all morning. This was it. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. I mean, that's what this whole election really is about, right? Are we going to beat people down or are we going to lift people up?
That's it. And are we going to bring them together? We know one person's going to do that and the other person's not. Historically proven. It's not like we're pontificating on this. Trump is going to try and further divide and destroy this country. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are going to try and bring it together.
I love that you retweeted. Oh, someone named Gunther tweeted, "Men, don't let your wives ruin America. Make sure they're voting for President Trump." And you just said, Republican women, no one has to know who you're voting for in that booth, not even your husband. That's one of the anecdotal things we're hearing. That's one of the most Googled questions. Can my husband find out who I voted for? Which to me is deeply disturbing in 2024.
Yep.
But
it's horrifying. But did you see that a beautiful but also horrifying story of that 81-year-old woman whose husband died in Georgia? She's voting for the first time because her husband never wanted her to vote. I really hope someone gets a hold and permission of that story and her so that people hear this. Other women in the South and other places hear your husband does not have to control you. You are allowed to have your own voice in this election, and you are allowed to go vote. I mean, it broke my heart. 81 years voting for the first time because her husband died, not even because he, quote unquote, gave her permission to do it. It's just, the story is unbelievable.
Exactly. All right, 19 minutes after the hour. This point.
Hi, I'm incredibly popular and charismatic Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. And hell yeah, I'm mad! The woke mob wants to lie about my really useful new law. They call it Don't Say Gay. Well, I'm here to say, don't say gay. Have you read it? Have you actually read my law? Have you read it? Because I'm going to be president. I am. I'm so going to be president, and none of you can stop me, okay? The only thing this very effective law does is ban any discussions of the gays and the transgenderisms with kids grades kindergarten through 3. And that's it. Of course you can still say gay. It's preposterous. You can say gay. It just allows any patriot to sue the living crap out of your school district if they don't like it. It's not censorship, folks, if they're censoring themselves. And I'm going to be president. I'm the smart Trump. Some of you are wondering, does this law keep grades 4 through 12 teachers from saying gay? That depends on what your definition of "or" is. Classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. What state standards are those? I don't know! Fuck around and find out! If you don't like my law, you're a groomer! And a pedophile, and a pedo-groomer. And that's what small government's all about. Just make me president already. I am not supposed to be a governor. Parents, you don't want your kids learning about gay sex at schools, do you? Learning about the kink and fetish community? You want some woke public school teacher makes $40K a year teaching your kids about dom-sub relationships or safe words or hard limits? Parents, do you want your little child at school to be learning about edging and lube and glory holes? I don't think you do. And what about cock and ball torture? What if little Jimmy has a book report on older married men who are secretly into BDSM lifestyles? You want him talking to your school librarian about cock and ball torture? You have any books that can help me? Oh, I have one right here. Is that what you want? You don't want that. That's why I did this for you. Now, any nutjob can sue any school, anytime, for any reason. And who picks up the tab? You, the Florida taxpayer. This law doesn't hurt any children. It only hurts you. And if anyone asks, you tell them you fell. Listen, y'all don't want your kids being taught about sex in the public schools. That's a liberal plot. Parents should teach their children about sex, or don't teach them anything about sex. Let them grow up and bury that confusion regardless of what acting out it leads to later in adult life. I turned out fine, and I never learned a thing about sex from my mother. Look, I don't have time for any of this, okay? I've got math textbooks to ban. I've got majority black voting districts to destroy. I got 77,000 Disney employees who vote in this piece of crap state that I have to piss off. So don't believe the lies of the liberal woke mob. You can still say gay. Go ahead. Say it. I'm not going to stop you. Say gay. Say gay sex. You can say it. Say hot, sweaty, smelly, musky, dominating, top, bottom, switch, reversible, sissy, femboy, uncut, power top, raw, bareback, action. Let me hear you say it. You want to say it. Let me hear you say it. Say man-to-man action. Just say it. Just let me be president already. Can't you see? I'm already biologically a president. Trapped in a governor's body. This isn't who I really am. I'm Ron DeSantis. And just let me transition the president. Hi, I'm incredibly...
Trump has gotten by, which is why I labeled him many years ago as the P.T. Barnum of our age. Mm-hmm. He is someone who's figured out how to exploit the sensibilities and weaknesses and the cultural attitudes of American life. It's easy to do that when people have checked out, and you can find a way to pull them back into the conversation. So when you look at the vast number of people who had largely checked out of our political system after the mid-1990s, and pretty much sat on the sidelines and just became sort of pop culture, consumers, reality TV and things like that. He figured that out. And so today, to your very point, why he's able to convince people that he knows more than the federal government. Mm-hmm. He knows more than the generals who run our military. He knows more than the scientists at NASA or MIT or NIH, right? Mm-hmm. He knows more. This man doesn't know how to tie his damn shoes. He doesn't even know what his weight is. He lies. I mean, the man lies about his weight. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump is not 215 pounds, people.
No.
All right. So if you are objectively looking at a fat ass man who's telling you that he's 215 pounds, and then you look at the next picture of your 215 pound son, who looks like, I don't know, a football player or a soccer player, and you objectively say to yourself that one of these things is like the other? No.
30,000 off what you owe us if you don't say anything bad about us. And what I said on Twitter is, what could she possibly say at this point that would hurt his base, that would make his base not like him? So I'm like, what information does he think she has, you know what I mean, on him that would actually make a difference at this point, that he would try to commit another crime and silence her? And
here we are, a rapist protected another alleged rapist, Brett Kavanaugh, and here we are. Oh, by the way, speaking of bags of... this is the whole reason to join Patreon. We will be covering the doctor who discovered a man with 3 penises. Yep. Now that is that's a triple threat. That guy's a triple threat. Look, they have 3 bananas. Okay.
That's news.
That is news.
News
that's
you can
hard,
use.
That's hard news.
Hey!
Hey! It's been pun day today.
Dana.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brett Beartrap.
You missed our swaying to Ave Maria earlier.
Was it for 45 minutes? Was
Almost.
it just dead air for 45 minutes?
It's the only thing that can calm us before this election.
Oh, my God.
Because any of us that do this have any kind of platform, are you finding all your friends and family are Waltering the dog you? They're just like, what's happening? Is she going to win? What's going on? And you have to calm.
What do we do? Oh, there's a lot of, I'm anxious, I'm scared, what do we do? I'm like, do something. Like Michelle Obama said, just do something. It'll make you feel better. It'll make you feel like you at least did everything you could to make sure she gets elected. Do something.
Don't you feel like the October surprise is his final descent into complete madness? I mean, Omarosa was talking about, we had Noel Castler on. He said he was a mess during The Apprentice. How long ago was that? He said it was only editing that made him even seem coherent.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I think even one of the distributors or press people of The Apprentice apologized recently and oh my God, we created a monster. I'm so sorry. I mean, we know it wasn't Burnett, but it was one of the other guys that worked on the show.
Yeah. I mean, Omarosa said Donald Trump's health is raised concern about his mental decline. He's accusing him of dictating his medical records. We know that he did that. He dictated them. Yeah. They obviously were written by him, right? He said she said by 2017, Donald was unable to recall basic figures. He would forget the names of his cabinet members. She said, let's recall Trump dictated the letters that went out about his medical histories. The doctors were not free to write what they wanted. The one thing about Trump is that you will never see is the truth about his weight, about his health. I think reporters should start asking different questions, very specific questions. Well, he won't go anywhere for any questions.
Right.
But he said ask about his health in terms of his heart. I mean, it is just extraordinary. But, like I was saying, in place of the mainstream media, Dana, we have eyes and ears. We just watched whatever that was on stage the other night, right?
It was, and you see the truth of it come out. Everyone's like, the questions were over. Like, we know there may have been medical emergencies, I guess. Who knows anymore if those are true. But I think he actually said out loud, does anyone else want to faint? I think that he just doesn't, he's a sociopath. It's the same thing with this interview at the town hall that he started with Fox News when she said that one of the women that was affected by this abortion ban, a Trump abortion ban, who cannot have children anymore, was before he was like, well, our ratings are going to be better.
Yeah.
And
Hi, I'm Matt Gaetz, former congressman and distinguished statesman. Can you believe the deep state totally canceled me just because I'm a patriot who likes to party? Does that suck ass or what? This is my new podcast, and you haters can laugh all you want because I allegedly brought a somewhat underage chick across state lines. But guess what that means? I get to do my time in a federal pen, not a state pen, because those are like totally ghetto. So I'm doing this podcast because the accusations against me are the greatest miscarriage of justice since a bunch of Black Lives Matter thugs attacked our Capitol on January 6th, disguised as white Trump supporters. So a lot of haters want to talk about how my dad bought me my seat in Congress, or how I got busted with a DUI driving my dad's BMW, or how I wore a gas mask in the House, or how I falsely claimed that Obamacare caused the opioid crisis, or how I voted against the Equality Act, or how I was the only person in Congress to vote against the Sex Trafficking Act, blah, blah, blah. As Mr. Trump said many times, you only hate me because I'm so Christian, you punk ass. But they also say I'm a racist because I bought a Holocaust denier to the State of the Union address. Okay, let's address that. Number one, I did not a Holocaust denier. I brought a Holocaust skeptic. And that's like a totally different thing. Stop calling me a bigot. It's totally gay. Okay, let's do some fan mail. Dear Matt, you're awesome, bro. MAGA, how is prison? Signed, Jill. Dear Jill, thanks for writing. You did not enclose a photograph in your letter, which indicates to me that you are, at best, a 6. But I'll answer your letter anyway. Prison's sucky, okay? When I came here, they wouldn't let me bring my own pomade into the jail. So I have to buy some homemade prison pomade from the Aryan gang, and those guys won't even tell me what's in it. I mean, it works. It's sticky. The worst part is that for some reason President Trump hasn't responded to any of my phone calls or letters or emails. So I've started this new GoFundMe. It's Tell Donald Trump that Matt Gaetz is in jail and it totally sucks and he needs help at GoFundMe.com. Please tell Mr. Trump that I really need his help. I know he has my number. And so does Don Jr. And so does Eric. And so does Laura. And that douche Jared. Mr. Trump, please get me out of here. I know you can help me. Don't you remember all those good times we had? All those awesome photos I showed you on my phone on Air Force One? I'm Gaetz with a Z. You remember? I'm the guy you kept thinking was your son, Barron? Please. Anyway, I gotta go. Subscribe and give us a good review. And I want to thank Jim Jordan for always standing by me. Thank you, Jim. I knew you would never look the other way. And I also want to thank God and shit. Peace out, bitches.
How can anyone support this person at all?
Yeah. I remember the old days, Joe, where a presidential candidate would have an extramarital affair, and that would be it. It would be the end of their career in politics. I think, was it John Edwards had an affair with someone, had a child out of wedlock with that person. You don't hear from John Edwards ever again. He disappeared from the national scene. He was John Kerry's vice presidential running mate. I mean, he was a sitting senator at the time, and now he resides in the Where Are They Now file, as I said, on Spinal Tap. But Donald Trump orchestrated a violent invasion and occupation of the Article I powers, and it's fine. He's within 3 points or 4 points of being president again. It's a shocking statement on the cultural rot that we face in this country, where so many of our fellow citizens have no idea the difference between right and wrong, the difference between patriotism and being completely unpatriotic. The polar opposite of patriotism is actually ordering your fanboy militias to invade the Capitol to overthrow an election. There is nothing more unpatriotic than that. And you know what? I'm surprising myself with that point, Joe, because that's something that never gets discussed in the context of Donald Trump. The fact that he lacks so much that he is the most unpatriotic person to ever step foot on the presidential stage.
He was trying to push her to be angry black woman, and he's just right. And also, he was trying to get his basket of deplorables moment by going, "Do you think they're stupid? Do you think Trump voters are stupid? What do you think?" And she
wasn't having it.
Yes, she did not
Even
step in the
were-
bear trap.
Even the questions were the way they were worded. We knew that they were gotcha moments. When you say to her, "When did you notice Joe Biden's mental decline?" That right there, the way the sentence is worded, she's caught. And she handled it so well, which was nice. He's not running. He's not on the ballot. Why are we talking about this?
I think she laid Brett's agenda bare. You know what I'm saying? I think she bared.
Did she bear witness?
Yes, to his bias.
Did she steal his picnic basket?
Yes. All right, we're done with the bear jokes. Let's go
Yogi
to
Berra.
Joe in Chicago. You're on with Dana Goldberg. Hi.
Uh-oh.
Hi, Joe.
Joe.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, okay. Hi.
I've been waiting for an hour. I went to go vote yesterday. I went to the post office with my wife and I's mail-in thing, and behind the postwoman's desk, there was a stack, I would say, of at least 4 or 5 dozen. In Chicago area, we got our mail-in votes last Tuesday, and she said, "Oh God, yesterday was even, there was even more because it was the day after Columbus Day and they were closed." So I got a really, really, really good feeling. Early voting is great. Chris, though, go vote on election day. That's what my parents used to do. There's no reason why you should be ashamed of that.
Yeah.
And don't
Other old people like Chris do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm old, so of course I vote on election day.
Grandpa, don't wait till election day.
And as long as you vote,
I'm voting. Exactly.
It's good.
Yes. And I want the lady to hand me my sticker.
Well, if you do get hit by a bus, I will come pick up your ballot for you.
Oh, this went dark. Okay.
That's what Chris is the one that holds up the line at the supermarket with coupons. Grandpa.
Well, Carl Frisch suggested that this morning.
Oh, I don't have time for this. I have to go buy a single piece of fruit with a coupon and then return it, making people wait behind me while I complain.
Marine Atlanta. You're on with Dana Goldberg. Hello.
Hey, Dana. Hey, Steph. So I was calling to submit a leave request for Chris on the morning of November 5th because he won't be able to get up at ass o'clock for the show. He's going to have to get up at ass o'clock to go vote.
Believe me, the polls aren't open by the time I get to work, so I have to go after work.
Yeah, that excuse doesn't work.
Yeah, no,
the polls aren't even open before we get off. Nice try. Kevin in D.C., you're on with Dana. Hi, Kev.
Good morning, everybody, and good morning, Dana. Long time no hear and see and speak to.
Nice to hear your voice, honey.
Thank you. And by the way, though, I wasn't surprised about Brett Baer's performance because go look back. I've never forgotten him. He did the same thing to President Obama. Kept interrupting him.
Yeah.
He's a undercover.
So you knew his bias was going to be laid bare. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yes, but some things I noticed. Well, anyone rational that is, I never want to hear about what a he-man chump is. Talk about a pussycat. Remove the cat part. She has passed every test. Everything is well. You're not going out there and campaigning a lot. You're not facing a tough question. She's done all of that. Meanwhile, this guy's canceled 3 non-friendly. Started with 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
So what in the world are they talking about? And it's an upside-down world where John Tester, if you saw the other day, he was embarrassed. He wouldn't admit that he's going to vote for Kamala because of the area. He has to play that game because of the area he's campaigning in. Yeah. What world is it where he has to pretend like it's a shame to vote for her with the record that she and President Biden has, but they're idiots that want to vote for him when he causes all that misery? I want to get out of this Twilight Zone world we live in.
Yep, I hear you. By the way, vote for John Tester. He's a fantastic, and he's a real farmer. He lost 3 fingers, and it apparently wasn't a thresher; it was a meat grinder.
Oh, a meat grinder.
Goodness.
Okay.
But he's a fantastic senator, and we have to keep the Senate. And
note to self: never go near a meat grinder. Okay.
Stay away from those.
That's right. I can't afford 3 fingers.
We avoid meat at all costs. What? Hey, listen.
Wow, you have gone there all morning.
Yeah, what is up with you?
I'm tired. Dana.
I'm tired. That's what happens. She gets dirtier when she's tired.
Yep.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Did you see the story about him saying, first of all, he lied. He didn't play football. There was no football team in his stupid prep school. But he was like, I like to catch the ball, but I didn't like getting tackled. He's such a giant pussy. Oh, really? You like that should you want a special football game where no one's allowed to tackle you? That's exactly.
Can't get tackled. He's got bone spurs. I also don't know why we don't talk more about someone who somehow dodged the draft because of made up bone spurs, but now he's fit enough to be the president of the United States.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, did you ever get those bone spurs taken care of, sir?
Right.
Malcolm Nance says it all the time. He's a physical coward, and he always has been. Ugh. Okay, so Rufus Wainwright is the latest call out. They called it blasphemous hearing his cover of Hallelujah being played at that rally for Trump. I know. You know what I remember is how great Kate McKinnon was singing it as Hillary. Ay. That was heartbreaking. But he called it very upsetting to see Trump jamming out to his music. He also argued the honesty of the song revealed to him a broken man who needs help.
Yeah.
He said, I hope this song is a prayer for a good and a better world. He says he will be supporting, of course, Kamala Harris. And he said he would be plenty happy if Trump's wacky rally ends up being part of what loses him the election. I mean, I challenge you to watch that and say this guy's okay.
I'm convinced that Sinead O'Connor's ghost put a curse on him, and that's why he couldn't move for 45 minutes.
There you go.
His legs just stopped working. Are you kidding me? I'm surprised that her estate has not sued him for playing that as well.
Or
There's
Prince's
zero
estate
chance
as well.
they would have given permission.
And Prince wrote the song, so his estate as well.
Right.
Yeah.
As if we could vote for Kamala Harris any harder, MAGA host says his friends are moving to foreign countries if Kamala beats Trump.
Go!
And we're wondering how to end Trumpism. Good. Go. Get out.
I don't think people understand how damaging that Univision interview was yesterday, that town hall, the amount of people that watched that. And he was, and not just the audience, that audience was proof that they weren't buying his BS. The women had their arms crossed and were snapping their necks when he was saying a lie. The guy who interviewed because it felt like one, asked that question about January 6th. It was one of the most pointed questions anyone has asked him on national television, and he bombed it.
Yeah. I mean, stop threatening us with a good time. Pro-MAGA TV host, somebody, revealed her friends are moving to a foreign country. So you're going to be immigrants. Oh, God, it's to laugh. Okay.
Wait, are you trying to seek asylum in another country because you're not happy with your own? Wait, what?
Huh? What?
Correspondent Brian Glenn, who is Marjorie Taylor Greene's
boyfriend.
Wow, okay.
He was my boyfriend!
Pointed to the alleged success of Trump media stock. despite its value plunging just a day earlier. He said, Kamala's numbers have been going down. His stock is going up. No, that would be the opposite would be true. Kamala's numbers going up. Trump, after he did the Chicago thing, you tweeted about it. You said, I think this is even worse than the black journalist thing. He totally bombed the economic forum thing. And Trump media, stock plummeted because he was
it's supposed to be his jam.
Right.
Everyone's like, oh, he didn't bomb. The audience gave him a standing ovation. The audience would give him a standing ovation if he pooped in the toilet instead of the floor. They'd be like, congratulations, young man. Well done. Like, I don't want to hear this crap. Well, they were clapping for him. They were also laughing at him. The entire crowd was not on Trump's side.
Yeah. I mean, and speaking of economics, the Washington Post yesterday reported on the likely impact of Trump's economic proposals, found they would likely cause massive disruptions. It's his scheme to slap tariffs of 10% or higher on all foreign goods. Most economists say would lead to massive resurgence of inflation. And he keeps changing the number. Oh, maybe it'll be 5,000%. We're talking about a plan of historic significance. It would be enormous, and the blowback would be even more enormous. This would stand way off the charts, said one economist. Gas prices would increase by as much as 75 cents per gallon in the Midwest, where most refined products come from Canada. Yep. Trump's tariff would cost the typical household $2,600 a year. Yale Budget Lab said the annual cost could be as high as $7,600 for a typical household. I mean, Dana, here we are, where I get that there's a segment of the MAGA cult that doesn't care about experts of any kind, but at this point, pretty much every economist, every military expert, everybody is warning with hair on fire.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and $7,600 would literally bankrupt an entire class in this country.
Absolutely.
Most people don't have that, even if there's a medical emergency in their savings account. That would be disastrous.
Yeah, most people can't cover. What's the price? I can't remember.
$400.
Like a $400 emergency.
Yeah.
It's
not a lot of money.
Yeah. Anyway, Oh, can I just say also, it's always the entire Republican Party, as you were saying, Danny, you were alluding to the project, Project 2025, Vance, that's their whole project. It's not, they know Trump is, I don't know, well.
Hookaloo? Yeah.
Who knows? But Anderson Cooper had heard enough of Republican guests trying to defend Donald Trump. He basically claimed that former military officials who have criticized Trump used to think he was a good president. Anderson Cooper said, I don't think they're saying he was good when they were working for him. They've left now, and this is what they're all saying. They're all warning and saying what they saw when they were there. They didn't say he was... I was saying this is so against the military code to do this. This is how strongly they feel about this. But so then this guy, I don't know, I don't even care which New York Republican, Maldonado, whatever. Mm-hmm. He said, he's a New Yorker. He's a fighter. And another guest said, New Yorkers who fight don't usually invoke fascism.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
You're blaming being a New Yorker?
He was talking to Anderson Cooper, who's a New Yorker who's never been in a fight in his life.
Right.
Talking about stereotypes and tropes. I think Anderson actually used a bad word on his show.
He did.
When he said that. It's just ridiculous. This guy that it's a caricature of all New Yorkers. There's, that's vibrato, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Vibrato. See, every once in a while I'm a little dyslexic. You heard me? You should hear me on the beans, man. Every once in a while I'm like, there has to be some dyslexia inside me because, whew.
I'm wondering too, there was, I can't remember, wasn't it a couple 100,000 evangelicals on the Evangelicals for Kamala call? I mean, it's what we talk to Fugelsang about every week, about, them taking back their religion. Atlantic columnist Peter Wenner, who writes about politics from a conservative Christian perspective, hammered Trump's evangelical supporters for tossing aside their principles to back his third bid. He fretted about the declining decency of voters. I keep thinking that, Dana, we're going to find out at long last if we have any decency in this country. This is going to be a moral test November 5th, an IQ test. But he said it has been catastrophic damage that's been done to the Christian witness because this is a moral freak show. You have to wonder, I don't know what percentage, but it finally goes, oh, come on. This guy's the least Christian guy we've ever seen.
I would hope so. I love that account exists. I hope they're reaching people, even if it's just, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, hopefully 10,000, more than that. But the percentage in some of these states were so close, so close, that people voting for the first time are going to matter. Republicans that have gone to the other side are going to matter. And hopefully, obviously, the people that just turned 18, they're voting for the first time. But when I see adults say this is the first vote I've ever cast, They know the stakes in this election.
Yep. Oh, God, I hope so. 48 minutes after I was trying to say Trump voters, he is correct. Your day to vote, your very special day is January 5th. Mark that down. January 5th.
Anytime after November 6th and before January 5th.
Right. That's your special time period to vote. No. Oh, my God. So where do we start? Trump says he's not going to let Americans vote against him again like they did in 2020. We're not going to let that happen again. This is what I was saying, why they hate vote by mail, because they cannot suppress the parts of the vote they want to suppress, right? They can't take all the voting machines out of black districts so it's, 10-hour lines, yada, 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 right? I mean, the way they surgically target people that are bound to vote Democratic, that's their whole game plan. I keep saying it over and over. They're not preparing to win. They're preparing how to cheat. Right.
Yeah, exactly. They're preparing to seize power. They're preparing for Trump to come out at 8 o'clock on Tuesday, November 5th and say, I won. Stop counting the ballots. I won in Pennsylvania, right? Where they don't even begin to start counting mail-in ballots until Election Day, and it takes 4 days to count all those ballots, right? And the early vote, in person could favor Trump, right? Geographically. And he could say, I won. Anything else is fake news,
Well, they do it on purpose. It's only in Republican states, where they don't let them count. I've said this over and over for all of our sakes. They should count the votes as soon as they come in, everywhere.
I agree.
Just everywhere. So by election night, we do know. But you're absolutely right. That is by design that they don't even let them start counting the early votes. Right. And
and that's what this election is going to be. He's going to try to seize power. He's not going to win. Kamala is going to win the popular vote. She's going to win the Electoral College. It's going to be close, but she's going to win it. And he knows that. And he's going to try to pretend like he won it and see how much, sort of will we have to stand up to that and how much institutional support he has. If he can eke out, it going to the House or the Supreme Court, he's going to try every way to Sunday to do that.
Yeah. Oh, God. We've got to keep Mike Johnson's grubby little hands off this.
Well, yeah. If the Democrats take over the House, then Mike Johnson will not be Speaker anymore.
Yeah. You wrote, that's how you finished your Substack, Noel. You said, all this is to say we are facing a challenge unlike any other we have faced in the final month of this election. Trump's campaign is already lining up lawyers to challenge the results on election night. I'm sure there are plans in place to foment chaos, intimidate poll workers and electors in the weeks and months leading up to certifying the election, unless they, God forbid, win outright or by fraud on election night and a stunned nation does not know how to react in a timely fashion. We're back to where we were 9 years ago at the beginning of a national nightmare. We cannot go back or allow that to happen. We must turn out to vote in numbers so large a Harris-Walsh victory is not only obvious to the American people, but to the free world beyond. Every day between now and then counts. Vote blue. Yeah, I mean, that's all we can control. That's all we can do. But you're absolutely right. This is going to be a white-knuckle 3 weeks, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And people are, they're nervous, and I get it. We should be. There's a lot at stake, The future of the free world is at stake. That's not hyperbole, right? Climate change and doing anything about it is at stake. Healthcare, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, minority rights. There's everything we care about, we can ensure continues on. All we got to do is show up and vote. But we got to take it seriously. It's your job as a citizen to show up and vote on Tuesday, November 5th. That's it. It's not, let me just see what happened and watch it on TV later. Participate.
Yeah.
JD Vance is the sort of Republican that we're going to have to contend with for the next 10, 20 years. The Republican who says things exactly like Donald Trump says has an extremely similar platform in terms of his ridiculous ideas and dictatorial plans for the country, but says it in a reasonable way. Mm-hmm. And I'm too disillusioned in my fellow American voters right now to forecast that people will be able to weed that out, that people will be able to notice, because I think a lot of voters want to default back to the Republicans. I think there are a lot of swing voters who, given their druthers without any other outside influence, will just go, well, I'm just going to vote for the Republicans because of myths, because, they're the daddies, they're the economy people, which is completely a lie, which is completely a myth.
Never.
Oh, never.
Perfect.
Never, always. Never.
Just perfect.
95% of the time. Never.
By the way, so Paul Krugman's examination of recent Donald Trump speeches led him to believe the president has become unmoored in time. A case in point, said Krugman, is Trump's recent rant about the state of California being completely bereft of electricity. Huh. It's weird.
We don't have any?
Are we? Huh.
How are we on
Seems
the
like
air?
we're on the air, but okay.
Yeah.
Krugman notes California did have an electricity crisis caused by Enron.
Right. Yeah, because we took advice from Texas.
More than 20 years ago, but that was due to market manipulation by notoriously corrupt energy firm Enron, and not because of any state regulation. In Trump's minds, apparently, that long ago electricity crisis never ended. Trump continues to talk about crime in New York as if it were still the 1970s, when the city really was in dire straits. The city had 83% fewer murders last year than it did in 1990.
Yep.
He really does live in the past.
Yeah.
Like, Detroit has had a huge resurgence.
Yeah.
Him using Detroit as some kind of horrible racist slur is just like...
Well, it's also stupid. It's one of the biggest
Yeah.
cities in that state, and a state that he needs to win. It was I don't understand his strategy in most times.
Yeah.
I don't think he has one, and I think he forgets what he's supposed to say to the people around him that are trying to keep him on course. They can't anymore. He's
Yeah.
gone completely off the rails.
Well, by the way... Oh, hold please. Now that you brought that up, I'm skipping.
Oh,
Hold on. Al Sharpton, who's known Trump forever, you know, he expressed a small amount of sympathy for Trump after this, whatever, Grandpa Drool Bucket's dance party, whatever that thing was called. And he asked why the staff didn't hustle him off stage when he stopped answering questions and danced for 40 minutes. He said, I mean, Donald Trump was embarrassing the other night to anybody that supports him. If I was there, I would have walked him off the stage. If I was a supporter, how long do you let Grandpa stand there and humiliate the family? I mean,
everyone just sat and filmed it. It wasn't even like no one tried to help. Everyone was just filming him.
We were saying, it was like the old Anna Nicole Smith,
drop the camera,
reality show.
help
Someone
her.
put the camera down
And help her.
him.
Yeah.
Here's we always talk about the other big story, Dana, is just the cowardice of the Republican Party, because they apparently, including JD Vance, says worse about him than we do practically, and behind closed doors mostly. This was just another story. I don't know who these two podcast guys are, but they've been supportive of Trump, raised money for him. They savaged him back, after January 6th. And this is the story of our time, is they all changed their tune. He said they've not only thrown their weight behind Trump, but threw a fundraiser for him. They said they believe Trump was clearly responsible for the storming of the Capitol, disqualified himself from being a candidate at the national level, said Trump is a complete piece of scumbag and who had perverted many Americans' patriotism. They also said he'd rather take every single person arrested during the riot, give them 0 days in jail, and add it all up and give it to Trump. One of these guys had a speaking slot at the RNC, but this is what they say behind closed doors.
Absolutely. I mean, you get Karl Rove. When you lose Karl Rove, I mean, you've done something, man. Some of these endorsements, though, I'm like, do we really want him? Really, I do have those moments where I'm like, thank you, I think.
Ick factor?
Yeah.
This one, an open letter in the Washington Post, this is like trying to talk to Republicans about just being smart, because they do keep losing with him. So I guess we shouldn't say anything. But he writes, there's a moment of choosing coming your way, another in a long line of pivotal moments revolving around Trump. This time you really ought to make a different choice. He said the chance of Trump and his followers accepting the outcome if they lose is somewhere between 0 and -1. That's when you get to decide whether you're willing to follow Trump so far down the dark path of fraud and insurrection that's almost inconceivable you could find your way back. Do you really want to go through this again? You could have had the Senate right now. They're saying if they hadn't followed Trump, maybe you'd be fielding better candidates than Kerry Lake and Mark Robinson. I can't imagine why any thinking Republican would sign up for another 4 years of this. Have to hope some people
either.
are. Yeah.
Get out and vote, people, and vote down ballot.
Yes.
Democrats are notorious for walking in, hitting the president, and walking out. Don't do it.
Don't do it. We love you, DG Comedy. Follow her everywhere on the socials. Daily Beans. We love you.
Love you.